Hello, I'm Tanner, a natural bodybuilder who's also trying to get into philosophy. And today I wanted to talk about the importance of negative thoughts because I received this comment that essentially was like, I don't see why we should neglect our immediate negative thoughts. And you could have stopped and read specifically how I responded if you wanted to, but you don't need to, because this video will essentially be me trying to kind of elaborate on my thoughts on that. If the guy who commented is watching this, thank you. I thought it was a really good question, and I can make a whole video out of it. So I really appreciate it. Um, but the importance of negative thoughts. Uh, I would like to start off with saying they're just as valuable as any other thought. I mean, not all thoughts are valuable, but they are important and they do come with importance. Um, they should be listened to, not just ignored, which is what he was getting at. He was like, why should we ignore and neglect these thoughts whenever they just first come up? And I don't think they should. I'll kind of get into the specific reasoning why they shouldn't in a second. But the best thing I have to compare this to is like we're not we're not little kids, we're not children who are just plugging our ears every time there's something we don't want to hear. It's like we can't just block out and ignore the things that are like, I don't like that. It's like that's not an option. We're thinking individuals who can't just ignore it every single time. But the difference between quit the difference between negative thoughts is that they're not meant to stay. Negative thoughts are not meant to stay. They are not something you should sit in longer than necessary. Once again, they have value, but the it's a very temporary value. It they're We need to listen to them and overcome them. They they're there to teach us. They're there to maybe help us see something we don't like about ourselves or don't like about a situation. And there are two options I guess three options you have there, which is to ignore them, which again, it doesn't just work. You can't just ignore it every single time. You can ignore those thoughts. You can sit in them and just be sad, be negative, be whatever, pessimistic, however, whatever word you want to use. Or even the third option, you listen and you overcome. You understand why you are getting that negative thought, why you have those negative thoughts or whatever, and you kind of get to the root of that and you overcome it. This is how we see growth as people. Over this is how we overcome our issues and our own problems, is by acknowledging the negativity, acknowledging the dark, acknowledging whatever it is that you're like, I would prefer not to think about that, and then overcoming it. I've said that word a lot, but um, plugging your ears isn't always an option, but growth is. This goes back to the point of you can either plug your ears every time like a child, or you can choose to grow, you can choose to be better, you can choose to understand that thought and where it comes from, why you have it, and become better for it. The last thing I put was just, how do you expect to become the person you want to be if you can't overcome your own darkness? How do you expect to be, for example, for me, I'm a Christian. How do I expect to be as much like Jesus as I possibly can, with unless I can overcome my own issues, my own sinfulness, my own whatever. And this applies to a multitude of things. How do you expect to become as kind as you possibly can be? How do you expect to become as loving as you possibly can be? How do you expect to become as generous as whatever? I could name a million more synonyms, but how do you expect to become the person you want to be, the person you desire to be, if you can't overcome your own issues, your own darkness, and your own negative thoughts? So just I thought this video was going to be feel like I ran out of my points a little fast. But negative thoughts are important. They aren't meant to just be ignored. They aren't meant to just be told to go away or I'm not listening to you, you know, like they are meant to show us our worries, our concerns, our insecurities, the reality of a situation maybe, which will in turn, whenever we listen to those thoughts and we see them and we acknowledge them, will in turn allow us to make the situation better, whatever it is, whether or not it's something that is actually happening, whether or not it's, like you said, your own insecurity over something, like whatever it is. Yeah, sorry. This video is a little shorter than I intended it to be. I thought I had a lot more points written down, but I went through them a little fast. Yeah. Just one more time. Negative thoughts are important. Don't just ignore them, but use them to grow instead. Thank you very much for watching. If I get a gym vlog today, it'll be arms. It's kind of lame. Arms are kind of lame. I don't know why. It's not as fun as the rest of the muscle groups. But I digress. That has nothing to do with philosophy. There you go. I will see y'all either later or tomorrow. Please stop barking. I'm almost done. It's literally outroing the video. Thank y'all. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.